Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思吃都还难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Mr. Tony Reed doing Takeaway Chinese here, one of my favorite moments of the week. Hello, Tony.
What's going on, New? It's always a pleasure to be here on the show, and it's always a pleasure to learn some new Chinese.
Yeah, of course. And being able to share some new Chinese expressions and ideas with you and, of course, also to the world, to our lovely listeners out there, makes me very happy. It feels like I'm passing on some very important knowledge, some treasure that I cannot touch or hold, but it's definitely real, and I'm loving it, as always.
Well, I think that's a way that we can actually preserve history, right? I mean, things happened a long time ago, the way that we live, the way that we eat, the way that we dress. And if those customs are not taught to the new generation, then it disappears.
Oh, yeah, but you're talking about a group of people who are much more noble than I am. I'm merely, podcaster, and some people would refer to me as a teacher, but the people you're talking about, I believe they're the inheritor. In Chinese, we'd call them 传承人.
传承
人. I know, it's a complicated idea. So 传 has the meaning of pass something, and 承 carries the meaning of passing from the elder generation to the new generations, or from up to down, there's this direction. So 传承 carries the meaning of inherit. And 传承人, we know 人 is a person or people. So 传承人 would be the inheritor. And when
传承人.
Yeah,
okay.
人. So when you talk about, or when we discuss the idea of 传承人, we're talking about 文化遗产传承人. So 文化 we know is culture. And 遗产 actually is heritage. 遗产.
遗产?
Yes, 遗产 would be heritage. So 遗 carries the meaning of leave behind. And 产 is like a property. So 遗产 put together would be the property, the things that are valuable that people leave behind. And the reason that they left them behind is because they passed away, and they do not want these valuable property to disappear with the disappearing of them. They wanted the property to be carried by generations after generations. So 遗产 would be heritage, and 文化遗产传承人 would be cultural heritage inheritors. These are noble people, and the heritage they're actually inheriting are something very interesting and with historical values, and it's something we can talk about in today's episode.
All right, sounds pretty good.
All right, so for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. 你听说过峨眉派吗？当然，峨眉派在金庸的笔下被刻画得深入人心。峨眉派起源于峨眉山，峨眉山还是世界文化与自然双遗产呢，绝对值得 一探究竟。有机会，我一定要去看看。
Yeah, that sounds like a conversation I would have because I wasn't that familiar with this May sect or the cultural inheritors. I've heard of UNESCO, but outside of that, I'm not familiar with at least this. It's kind of like an awarding organization for certain cultural places or things or people, right?
Ooh, you would be much more interested to this after I give you a little more background information that actually Jin Yong, the writer we're talking about, who wrote about 峨眉山 quite a lot, 峨眉派 quite a lot, is a martial art novel writer. He's like epic. He was really, really good in the stories and the kung fu and all these there are some really legendary ones. I'm pretty sure man cannot really fly across two faraway buildings. It's kind of like flying. But in his world, if you are really diligent and if you work really hard, you'll be able to be this martial art master who's able to do all that. And you would click into the air and some of your energy would pop out from your fingers, just like guns, and you can, hurt people far away from you. So you would be very much interested to that.
Yeah, it sounds very epic. I mean, it doesn't sound very realistic, but it's really cool.
And what's cool is that after learning, I would say 2 or 3 years of Chinese full time, you'll be able to read all the novels that he wrote and you would find it really interesting. So how about we start from 峨眉派, from this special, let's say, group of people who are learning their kung fu on the 峨眉mountain.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so let's learn the Chinese first and discuss the fun martial art then. Alright, so for the first sentence, 你听说过峨眉派吗?
This is, have you ever heard of the May sect? Ni is you.
You.
听说. This is like heard of, right?
Yes, so 听 is listen, 说 is say, so hearsay.
And then we have 过.
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 It's like saying, have you heard of it? Because 听说 is, again, the verb in its present tense. And 过 tells us that it's like asking you, have you already heard of it? It's the past tense signal.
Okay. And then we have May, and I think that's the place you were talking about, right?
Yes, that's a name.
And then Pai, I think that's the sect.
It's
right?
sect or 派别. 派别 is kind of like a different school of things. So in the martial art world, there are different schools of martial art theories. You learn them. See, you're really familiar with this topic. So you're learning them. Yeah.
You have the Shaolin Temple. They have their own style. And then you have Wudang style, right?
And 峨眉 is another style. And the reason that probably you haven't heard of 峨眉 or you're not that familiar with 峨眉 is because 峨眉派 mainly consists of female martial art masters. So, so relatively speaking, their style is more flexible and they know how to hurt in a rather soft or gentle way, just like, water absorb energy, something like that. So that's the idea of the 峨眉派. So 峨眉派and Wudang派you mentioned, Shaolin you mentioned, they are kind of like parallel different schools of martial art theories and styles.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard of this May sect. And a school strictly for ladies. I've never heard that. That's...
Mainly for ladies. I think they do have some male students as well. So you can actually answer this question with 我没有听说过峨眉派. I have never heard of 峨眉派. But now you have. Then we have the second sentence. 当然峨眉派在金庸的笔下被刻画得深入人心.
And this is, of course, its image depicted by Jin Yong is deeply rooted among the people. Yeah. So, 当然 is, of course.
For sure, yes.
And then Mei Pai is of course the Mei sect.
Yes.
And then Dai is like
Under.
Under. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Within or something, right?
Yes.
And then Jin Yong, I think this is a person, right?
This is the person. This is the master of martial art novel. And he created this whole world of martial art in Chinese history. He picked different sectors in histories, different periods in histories, and he described this whole universe with different schools of martial art, different sects, and different very legendary combos and things that you can do if you are with these special martial arts skills. And of course, there are a lot of legendary weapons in his novel. So Jin Yong, someone you should definitely know if you love martial art novels. Jin Yong.
Interesting. Yeah, I missed this guy throughout my entire martial art development.
I'm pretty sure you've watched many movies that are adapted from his novels. So.
Well, yeah, you said that people are flying, so I'm sure I've seen a lot of movies. But okay, so Mei Pai Dai Jin Yong. So the Mei sect within Jin Yong, and then De, which is apostrophe S, and then B, I think that's B Xia. So this is B is pin.
Yes.
And then Xia is, what is that, like?
Under.
Like under.
Yes.
Okay.
So under his pen, it means that in the world that he
Something he
created by his pen. Yes, something he wrote.
Okay. And then Bei Ke Hua. So Bei is like B, right?
Yeah, it's like B. It's like a signal showcasing it's a passive voice.
Ke Hua is like depict or show,
Depict,
right?
precisely. Depict. So ke carries the meaning of carve, and hua carries the meaning of paint. So if you carve something, paint something, you're basically making a portrait of something. Depict.
All right. And then D.
Again, that's the de. Yes. 深入人心.
深入人心. I think this is to like resonate within the people.
Yes,
right?
That's a really beautiful translation. From the surface of it, we can see it's a 4-character Chinese word, a idiom that we all love to use in Chinese. So 深 carries the meaning of deep. 入 is into, so deeply into. 人, people. And 心, heart, deeply into one's heart. If your portrait of something is deeply into one's heart, then you are doing a really good job. You're leaving people with a deep impression. And like you said, resonate with people quite a lot.
Right.
峨眉派起源于峨眉山，峨眉山还是世界文化与自然双遗产呢，绝对值得一探究竟。
Okay, so all of that was Umei sect is named after the place where it is based, Mount Umei. Mount Umei is listed in UNESCO's World Natural and Cultural Heritage. It's definitely worth a visit.
Yes, that's a long sentence, but I think there are 3 sects of meanings, and each, I would say, part of the sentence is not that hard. So we start with the first one. 峨眉派起源于峨眉山.
峨眉派, okay, again, is the Umei sect.
Yep.
起源,
起源.
起源.
Uh-huh.
And this 起源于, this means to originate from something, right?
Originate from. 起 carries the meaning of start. 源 is like the origin. And 起源, of course, we know is the origin, it's the start. 于 is like at or from a certain place. So like you said, originated from 起源于, 起源于.
Okay, 起源于.
Uh-huh.
And then we have a here.
峨眉山.
峨眉, right. 峨眉山.
Yes.
So that's the 峨眉mountain.
峨眉 mountain, perfect.
All right, and then next we continue with 峨眉山.
Uh-huh.
还是. Here, is this just
Also is. Yes, it is, but it's also is. It's saying,
also.
yeah, also
The
is.
hai. And then 世界文化与自然双, that's double, yeah. 遗产呢?
Yes. See, before breaking them down to words, you are already mastering this really long name of UNESCO natural and cultural heritage. Okay, so 世界 we know is world.
Yes.
文化 is culture.
Culture.
自然
自然. Ooh, that sounds
that's
like
nature.
a seasoning that I like to use, but that's actually nature, right?
Yes, that's 自然, but you're right. The seasoning you like to use. So 自然 would be natural or nature in Chinese. And 双 double, and you would see the use of this character a lot in official names or in written words, because probably we would see 两 or 二 more often in our daily conversation in oral Chinese, but in written Chinese, 双 is also very useful and very often seen. So 双 double, and 遗产 we talked about is heritage. So together, 世界 world, 文化 culture or cultural, 语 and 自然 natural, 双 double, 遗产 heritage. So UNESCO world, natural and cultural heritage.
Okay.
绝对
So 绝对 is this definitely?
definitely,
值得
值得
is this really?
it's worth. You're thinking
worthwhile.
about 真的.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because if you only read the pinyin of it, you would see that only one N is missing. But if you're pronouncing it out, 这 and 真, firstly, they sound a little bit different, and also the characters are definitely different. But honest mistake.
So 值得 this is
一探
worthwhile.
究竟.
And then 一探究竟.
Uh-huh.
And this is like check it out or look at something.
Yes. So 一 is one. 探索 explore. 究竟 is like the truth of it. So it's like I'd like to go for one exploration to see the truth of this place. So
See
yes.
for myself.
See for myself. You can definitely understand it as that. And 一探究竟, check it out. It's a rather sophisticated way of saying check it out. 一探究竟, a Chinese idiom.
What's the colloquial way to say it?
去看看, go see.
True kind.
Right? It's easier. Go have a look. 去看一看. 有机会我一定要去看看.
So this is I will definitely check it out. sometime.
The colloquial way.
So 有机会. I could be wrong, but it sounds like have a plan.
Have a opportunity.
Okay.
计划, 有计划 would be have a plan. Again,
Oh.
really close. See,
Okay.
you're already doing this. I think I do that a lot in English as well. English learning, especially when I was in school, I would make these mistakes in the way that they're really, really close. Especially,
Okay.
yeah. So it happens. Do not worry about it. I'm pretty sure.
机会.
Our dear
This
listeners are doing the
means
same thing
opportunity.
sometimes. 机会 would be opportunity.
So 有机会. 我一定. Oh, 一定. This is like definitely.
Definitely.
Right? 要去. Want to go.
Want to go.
And then 看看 is see.
See, yes. So 要去看看, want to go and have a look. 有机会, if there is a chance. So in Chinese, if you want to say 如果有机会, if there is a chance, 我一定要去看看, I would definitely go and have a look. That is a perfect sentence. But if you omit the 如果, just say 有机会, have a chance, given a chance, people would still understand, and it's still standard Chinese. So yeah, we omit things quite a lot, but if you take care of the context, if you read the context, you would definitely understand.
Okay, got it.
Right, so do you have any other questions, or can we give it a go trying the sentence?
Yeah, let's give it a try.
All right. 你听说过峨眉派吗?
当然，峨眉派在金庸的笔下被刻画得深入人心。
峨眉派起源于峨眉山，峨眉山还是世界文化与自然双遗产呢，绝对值得一探究竟。
有机会我一定 要去看看.
Great. You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niu Honglin, and Tony. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts by email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's learn about the cultural and natural heritage and how come they really deserve our protection. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Tony here. So Tony, what do you know about heritage? Because I know you know a lot about martial art, you know a lot about all these different kung fu masters and heroes, but I think one thing that's very interesting for today's episode is that on top of those, there is actually a mountain related to the sect, the Emei sect we talked about, and that mountain is worth exploring as well.
Yeah. It's definitely a place that sounds interesting to visit, especially after what we talked about today. But earlier you mentioned heritage, and this is like the passing down of some type of skill, some type of practice that's been done for, I guess, thousands of years. And I guess Kung Fu falls into this category.
Yeah, I think so.
And back in the in North America, I had the opportunity to attend a sweat lodge with some of the Native American population.
Ooh.
We went into a teepee.
What is that? What is that?
A teepee is like the traditional housing for the Native Americans. It's kind of shaped like a triangle of some sort.
Oh.
And then they open one flap and you're able to go inside. And then they would push this huge stone and that's full of like fire. Like it takes a while to heat up. But then when you put it in there and then you sit around it inside of this closed space and just sweat, and it was intense. But it's something that they've been doing for thousands of years.
Yes, when it comes to cultural heritage, actually, in China, there are a lot of different, like you said, skills or ritual or beliefs, ceremonies, knowledge, sometimes even legends, and maybe music, arts, crafts. I cannot go on with this list because it's a really long list, and all these things have this really long history. So we say 历史悠久 in Chinese. 历史悠久.
历史
悠久.
悠久.
Yeah, so 历史 is history, 悠久 is long. So this idiom means it has a really long history, 历史悠久. So with this long history, it has been with a group of people for quite a long time. Maybe they started in a tribe and continue with a certain ethnicity, and that is something definitely worth preserving. And I've actually met some of the 传承人 we talked about in the very beginning of the show. So 传承人 would be the inheritors. Ooh, they are very charismatic people, I have to say. So they have the knowledge of this, for example, this very rich, abundant school of stories about a certain person or about a certain theme or about their ethnicity, and or the inheritor would be someone who is really good at a certain art craft. They know how to name the least, for example, to make a kite with their own skills. It's something that you would feel not that significant if you are only listening to the names of it, because, making kites, that sounds not that important. But actually, if you can witness their skills, witness the crafting process of them using their hands and the special tools to make these art crafts, you would definitely feel like they're doing a really noble job and passing on this knowledge that are not necessarily very practical and quote-unquote useful in today's world, yet they're beautiful and they're definitely worth preserving.
Absolutely. And I think that making a kite thousands of years ago might be a substantially different process than
right.
making a kite today. So I think that there's a lot that's being preserved and that you can see it, and it's a construction. So it's certainly worthwhile to take part and to experience the traditional way to make things.
It's very interesting for sure. And we talked about 自然 and 文化遗产. 自然 being the natural heritage. Definitely we're talking about a destination, a place, very beautiful with a long history. And when it comes to the cultural heritage, 文化遗产, it's something we've mentioned. Certain costumes, cultures, beliefs, rites, ceremonies, things like that. And actually there is another concept that I think worth learning. That is 物质遗产和非物质遗产. So here, 物质, the Chinese word, here's the meaning of material. 非物质, non-material. So in English, it's actually tangible and intangible. Tangible in heritage in Chinese would be 物质遗产. 物质.
物质.
Perfect. So 物质遗产 would be tangible heritage and 非物质.
非物质.
Yes, that's intangible heritage. So a lot of different kinds of concepts, but behind these concepts, I get to imagine this blended world of skills and art craft and beautiful sights that are existing. And actually, the second Saturday of June each year is celebrated across China as its Cultural and Natural Heritage Day, highlighting the essential roles that heritages play and the importance of their protection and conservation. As for the year 2022, it falls on the 11th of June. This day was officially designated by China's State Council in 2005 and has been celebrated nationwide through campaigns and activities ever since. So around this time of the year, a lot of inheritors, a lot of museums, places with intangible and tangible cultural and natural heritage would have different activities celebrating it. And I would love to join into one of those activities and celebrate this blended culture and history that we have.
Just a quick question about these celebrations. How do you celebrate something like that?
Well, for the intangible heritage, and for example, for those who actually have this certain kind of craftsmanship, they would be in a little booth or in this, let's say, exhibition center and showcasing their skills, how to make special embroidery, how to make kites, how to make these little toys and paint tiny little pictures on them that are so vivid and so exquisite.
And how to sing in Peking opera?
Oh yeah, how to sing Peking opera would definitely be one, because Peking opera definitely is on the intangible heritage list. They'll show you how to sing it and tell you the stories behind it and wear all the costume and stuff. And for visitors and for tourists, they can also, try the costume and make a picture, make a very interesting piece of memory.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just imagining myself trying to sing Peking opera would be very memorable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We know that we preserve these cultural heritage because they have this long history and they tell us who we are in this very specific way. But it's also because it's fun for people nowadays, especially young people. They haven't really experienced the world so much, and there are so many different things that they can explore, and perhaps one young 18-year-old girl would fall in love with Peking opera and pick it as their lifelong career. You never know until you have actually explored the world and you have explored all the possibilities will you find the true love in your heart, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And that makes sense why this day every year is kind of important, just to kind of, I guess, keep that appreciation going around nationwide.
Yes, so 自然文化遗产日, that's how we say the Natural and Cultural Heritage Day. In China, not all festivals are 节日. It's sometimes we say 节, sometimes we say 日. So 自然文化遗产日. That brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Yang Honglin with Tony here in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column Podcast.
You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and much more. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. And don't forget to leave your comments, ratings, and questions.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
再见。